Peace, fam. It's the Pressure Cooker, and I'm back with another video. In this video, we're going to talk about gatekeeping and infiltration as it relates to the LSA beef sector thread and the beef sector. Now, if you're new here, a little bit about me. I like to break things down. I like to pick things apart. I like to analyze things. Sometimes I'm talking about conflict, but my intention is never to create or be a part of the conflict, which is a very fine line when you're doing certain topics. Now, I had observed something yesterday that Troy Allen created a video about how to access LSA, and the LSA beef sector thread totally lost their mind. Okay, so upset. They're preparing for battle. They're preparing to block people real heavy. Now, I found that very interesting, and here's why. We're going to break it down. Now, gatekeeping. Okay, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly about gatekeeping. Gatekeeping happens in the LSA thread, and it also happens in the beef sector. What gatekeeping is a group of people who feel like they need to restrict access for whatever reason to their group or place or whatever it is, right? Now, gatekeeping could be a good thing, all right? Gatekeeping is good when it's creating a safe place for people. So let's say maybe there's a space for women only, or a space for men only, or a space for, Black people only, or Hispanics, or whatever it is, right? Those are good examples of gatekeeping as it relates to maybe certain discussions and certain topics. Another example of gatekeeping is like domestic violence shelters, right? Even though men are also abused and are victims of abuse, it doesn't make any sense to have both sexes at a domestic violence shelter. Would create high feelings of people not feeling safe. So that's why there's certain places where they would just be restricting that kind of access. That kind of gatekeeping makes sense. And then I'm going to share you another example of good gatekeeping. This is actually where I learned the word. So when I was in my program for counseling, that was the first time that word was introduced to me. And the professors in the department talked about how there's a certain point in the program where they kind of assess you to see does this person have a high probability to cause harm to other people or future clients? I don't know how they're assessing that. Some of the ways make sense, and some, I'm not really sure. And so they call that gatekeeping. So there's a point in the program where they can tell you, you've been here for 2 years, but we don't think this is a good fit for you. Good day. Pack your things and go. And it sounds really harsh, and I remember being very terrified, but I've only seen it happen to one person in my cohort, and I'm sure they had their reasons, right? So those are examples of gatekeeping for different reasons. Then there's bad gatekeeping. Okay, bad gatekeeping could look like nepotism. Okay, you're in my family, I'm gonna give you all the jobs. At first it starts out innocent. I'm gonna hook my family member up with a job, but then it's only your family members getting the jobs. Nepotism. Okay. Systemic racism is a form of gatekeeping. Hello, one of the worst and biggest bullies of all time. And also just unjust exclusivity, which in this case I think is very much the LSA beef sector thread. Unjust exclusivity. Okay, and why is that? Because LSA, the irony here is LSA was created initially, I believe, as a space for Black women to talk about different topics, okay? There's also Black men on LSA, but I don't know if it was created for them. But now we have people, these are not my words, that are in digital blackface who come there and infiltrate. We're about to get into infiltration. And, sow all kinds of seeds and, do all kinds of F-ish and stuff. Okay. The fact that the LSA beef sector thread is angry and they want to keep beef sector people out is very funny to me. And I'm going to get into why, okay? Infiltration. That's when you try to gain access to an exclusive group without proper permission, or you're doing it shadily, okay? Now, infiltration could look like the LSA that creating YouTube pages exclusively in the beef sector to just hang out, troll, or be an obnoxious pain in the arse on panels, okay? I've already name dropped one person, okay? Because I've been watching this bullshit for a while, and there are people from LSA who they're just listening and they're just being a part of it like the other people. But then there are people who think they're bigger and better than other people, even though they're talking high amounts of shit, saying horrible things about people, but somehow, putting themselves in a moral pedestal and a moral high ground as though they're better than everybody else. Make it make sense, okay? So the point of this video is they want to gatekeep, which is keep people out of the LSA beef sector thread. I can understand wanting a space, to do your thing, talk some stuff. But then they also want to infiltrate the beef sector. You can't have it both ways, okay? You cannot have it both ways. If you want it to just be LSA people, whatever that means, because again, they're avatars. They're avatars. So we don't know who these people are. Some of them are probably people from the beef sector, but some of them, I believe, are probably just people from all over who are checking out what's happening in the beef sector, okay? But how dare you try to gatekeep and infiltrate? You need to pick one. You need to pick one. You don't get to tell people where they can go. LSA is not a private site, okay? Because I think there's ways for you to have private discussions in the background. Do that. If you don't want people to have access to what you're writing, clearly you do. Clearly you do. You want them to see it because you want them to feel some kind of way. Then stay away from the beef sector. Don't create pages exclusively for the beef sector to post community posts. And once again, troll people in their chats and get on panels. You can't have it both ways. This is what I'm trying to say. This is part one. I could come back with more, okay? But at the end of the day, don't let people tell you what to do. All right. Now, are there obnoxious people who go to LSA? Absolutely. Absolutely. And if I were you, if you don't have thick skin, you shouldn't be over there. Because once again, there's all types of threads on LSA. You don't have to go to that thread. There's a whole bunch of different threads on LSA that you can read and listen to. But if you have thin skin, I would not recommend you go over to that thread at all. And it's very easy for people who are hiding behind an avatar to say the most vile, mean shit. There's no consequences for them. There's no consequences. I've already outlined many of the hypocrisies that they engage in on my community wall. Go check it out. I posted yesterday. I'm sure they're mad. Do I care? Absolutely not. As we say in Jamaica, ox me if me care, coming here. Okay? I'm not on here to make besties with people in LSA. I'm here because I want to attract like-minded people who are critical thinkers, who I can engage with in a discussion. Nobody's going to bully me off of anywhere. And don't let them do that to you either. Y'all have a great day.